My name is Jim Adams. I was a lieutenant, full lieutenant in the United States Navy Reserves in Vietnam, and I retired from the Navy Reserves as lieutenant commander. Another traumatic experience in my life was we had decided to go to, after you're in country for 6 months or so, you could go on R&R. So I had decided to go to Hawaii to meet my wife. My wife and I had only been married for 3 months. And so I guess I was 7 months in country at that time, and I decided to meet my wife in Hawaii, and which was, as it turned out, the most traumatic thing I had ever had. I'd gotten myself so used to being in a combat zone and so used to doing operations and so used to the heat, and I fear, now keep in mind I'm not talking outward fear all the time, but just being antsy and anxious all the time. And doing my job, I was very proud of myself, very happy with what I was doing. And I ended up getting on an airplane and flying for I don't know how many hours to Hawaii, and getting on a bus from the plane and driving down into, I guess it was Fort DeRussy or someplace like that, and looking all these women standing down there waiting for their husbands. And I was on, again, an airplane with 200 people I never saw in my life. Heavens, didn't see. We got off, found our wives in this, this line of women, and you're just going down to find your wife. And so we did. I found my wife, and we had 4 or 5 days, and it was really fun, and we saw a lot of Honolulu, and just had a good time and everything. But there was something, for me, incredibly difficult to get back on that plane and say goodbye and everything. So when we got back, I was really, all of a sudden it hit me that I really, and we had a saying, but I really want to get back in the world. I didn't want to be here anymore. This was something that was very, very difficult. And but that feeling went for a few days, and then we're back at it. And you have to lend yourself to where now this is your environment. So I was comfortable with it, but I remember it because it was very, very difficult. The last thing I want to say is these people had to come home. I was leaving June 2nd, 1969 to come home. 2 days before I was to leave, I was in the jungles basically. I flew up to Saigon, took a shower, got clean clothes, got on an airplane with 200 people I'd never seen before in my life, flew to Travis Air Force Base, got off, everybody went different ways. Approximately 8 to 10 of us got on a bus to go to San Francisco Airport because I was going to meet my wife downtown at the Sheraton, and the other 7 or whatever many, 8, were going to go in different directions. And we got off the bus, and there were about 20 of, at that time they were called hippies, and they were milling around, and they saw the military, these 10 guys basically get up, and they started yelling and screaming at us these horrible words. And one guy got hit with a tomato on his shoulder, and they called us baby killers and yada yada yada. And it wasn't, we knew all about it, to be honest with you, but I'd been out of the States for all practical purposes for 6 years, and the next thing I know, I'm saying to myself, man, this is weird. I wasn't taken back from the standpoint of how bad these people were. It wasn't a bad, good thing. It was like, geez, I don't understand that. But I knew that I'd better not. So anyway, the police got there. The police were there, and they took them back, and then we went on our way, and I got a cab went downtown. And got home, and the last thing I'll say is I was sitting at a bar. My wife and I were living with my parents, and I was looking for a job. And I gotten out of the Navy and said Treasure Island, or discharged out. And this friend of mine, I hadn't seen him for 8, 9 years. He was a friend, not a great friend, but a friend. And he came in and he says, "Hey Jim, how are you doing?" I said, "Good, good." He said, where have you been? I haven't seen you for years. And I said, "Well, I just got out of Vietnam. I just got back from Vietnam." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you must be the dumbest SOB around. Nobody goes to Vietnam. You had to get out. Why didn't you try to get out? How couldn't you get out? Should have gotten married, yada, yada, yada." So it kind of went inward, and I was like, okay, we just kind of move on from here. So anyway, that was my coming home, and I just stopped talking about it and everything. And then things went on with John Kerry talking about how we were killers and everything. And you know, Vietnam Veterans Against the War, which was fine with me. I didn't, but all the other stuff, I just said, hey, we weren't like that. I was helping people and all that stuff. Anyway, so I wanted to say, going over, I think I did some good things. I was on the swift boats. Coming home was sad, and now I haven't told anybody, and I just wanted to get it on because I'm a member of the Navy Memorial, and I have my picture in there for my kids. One of these days they might be in a